How do you lodge your enduring power of attorney with Landgate? It turned out to be quite a simple process for me, and that was largely due to the preparation I had beforehand with my estate planner, who was telling me the context and what sort to expect. That was very, very helpful because it was a pretty painless experience, which is usually not my experience with government departments. So let's just have a quick look at that advice that I received from my estate plan.
Will be accepted, and that's my next point.
Sure.
If again in WA, there's different bodies in every state and other jurisdictions. In WA we have Landgate, used to be called the Department of Land Administration. So all land dealings, buying and selling property, go through Landgate.
Mm-hmm.
So this power of attorney, once it's done and signed, it will be effective as of now.
Mm-hmm.
But if so, Karen will be able to take it to the bank if you want her to, and will be able to register it with the bank and whatever other institutions are necessary, and it will then be able to be used. When it comes with dealing with land though, it needs to be officially registered with Landgate. So that's another step which you need to be aware of.
Yeah, she's going through that right now with her mom.
Okay.
Doing that, so yeah.
Okay, perfect. Has she done the process? Because
They're
basically,
just doing the paperwork now. Her mom's still around, so her mom's doing the paperwork, but Karen's helping her with it. But it had to go through the Landgate and had to go to the post office to get your ID that you're the person, because they've tightened up on that.
are they're selling a property at the moment, are they? Or?
No, just transferring, getting the deceased partner off the
Right,
thing
okay.
and just doing that paperwork.
Yeah.
So but there's a lot of checks and balances now that you gotta make sure that you're the person that's doing this.
Yeah.
And so, and the post office does all that, so.
Yeah. So with the power of attorney, if you are going to register with Landgate, it needs to be registered within 3 months. If you don't register within 3 months, it can be done later, but you or the person, the attorney, the person who's given the power, needs to sign a stat dec saying that the document hasn't been revoked in that time. So it's just another step involved.
Okay.
So it's a decision that you make whether you do it now straight away and get it done and can forget about it, or you sort of say, well, we'll do it if and when we need to.
Okay, give some thought to that.
Yeah.
The most important aspect that my estate planner did to prepare me for this was to create 2 original enduring power of attorney documents. I know 2 original copies, it doesn't make much sense, but original document means that at the time of signing there was 2 copies that made, and all the witnesses, everyone signed at the same time. That made an original document. So I had 2 copies of 2 original documents. One that I'll store with my estate planner, and the other one gets lodged with Landgate, and they keep that. Landgate will only work with an original copy of enduring power of attorney. If you do not have an original copy for them, you can provide them with yours. It has to be the original, it cannot be a certified copy, and they will hang on to that for a few weeks while they certify it, and they will charge you an extra $90 for that. Now, it didn't cost you an extra $90, probably didn't cost you anything, didn't cost me anything to have that second copy done at the time when it was drawn up. So make sure that even if you were going to do one yourself, a homemade enduring power of attorney, which are perfectly valid as long as they're filled out correctly, make sure you have 2 copies, and when you get them, everyone to sign and witness them, make 2 so Landgate will have their own. Now, you can check in your own localities. A certified copy might be absolutely fine where you're at, but here in Western Australia they would only accept the original, and that is largely due because there has been some scams where people have had their houses sold out from under them, imposters posing in themselves, and so they provided a forged enduring power of attorney, and they were able to sell the person's house. So Landgate's very careful about this now, and they've had very stringent rules. So to save you some heartache when you go there to lodge it, make sure you're taking an original copy. And the most important thing I like about having the 2 copies and Landgate having their own copy is during this processing time when they're certifying their copy, that it can take a few weeks, and that means that you do not have access to your original copy, to your original document, and you may need that during that period. I also like the idea it could get lost in the process somewhere, or if you need to retrieve it quickly, it take a long time for them to find it. We'll talk a bit more about tracking a bit later, but if they have their own copy, they have it, you always have access to yours. Otherwise, you're a bit vulnerable there in case you need it for the bank or whatever. So again, 2 original copies. Also, in my case, another very important aspect was to do this in one trip. There's only 2 offices in Western Australia that you can lodge at, and that's in Perth Central or in Midland. And I was taking my mother-in-law up for her to do some work with Landgate as well. She was settling their estate, getting her deceased husband's taken off the title, and so there's a bit of work to be done there. And the Perth office would be at least an hour away from us, and the Midland office is probably about an hour and 20. And with my mother-in-law's mobility issues, we thought it'd be easier going to the Midland office. Trying to get in and out of the city is not always easy, and that's also what you've got to consider. Now, your estate planner can lodge this document on your behalf. We can talk about that in a minute. Done by certified post. The most important aspect of this is to be prepared, so you get this all in one visit. So you're not having so much travel time going back and forth and the frustration. And if you have mobility issues, getting in and out. I went with my mother-in-law. I had mine done very quickly, had everything prepared. My mother-in-law thought she was prepared. She had some documents, but she didn't have the original that she was required. So we'll have to go back and make another trip once we find her original. And she wasn't quite sure. She thought maybe that her estate planner had actually provided 2 copies for her as well. But we'll have to go back, check that out, and then we'll go make another trip coming back. This video is a follow-on from the video on Enduring Powers of Attorney. That's in the series of legal documents. If you haven't seen that, you should really have a look. I recommend that you look at all the videos on the legal documents. Even though you may think your estate planning is all sorted, it doesn't hurt to take a bit of time to review these things. Look at the videos. You might pick up some points. I've come across people all the time who think they have their things sorted, particularly people who have homemade wills, that did the enduring power of guardianship and all that online. But when I start talking to them and find out that actually their stuff may not be valid and may not be correct, so they may have wasted their time and money so far. So it doesn't hurt to have a look. So go back and look at the series, and maybe it inspires you for some questions that you might have and get a bit more clarity. We want to make sure everything's in order so we can just put this to bed and forget about all these documents. Once you've done, dusted, finished, and get on with enjoying your retirement. You're not required to lodge an enduring power of guardianship with Landgate, but it's one more step that's going to take the stress out of your executor and people left behind, family, to sort these things out. You've got that in place that will speed up the process and take a lot of the stress out of it. And I think that's the point of what we're doing. It's the reason why I'm doing all these things, is take as much burden and stress off my family as I can once I'm gone. Now, although this video is on Landgate, you will have an equivalent in your locality. However, in the state of Montana, I know the state holds all the titles, and there's title companies and things like that. So talk to an estate planner to find out what's relevant to you. This is just an overview of type of questions you do, and inspiring you to be prepared. So a little bit about my process as I lodged my enduring power of attorney with Landgate. So after an hour's or so drive, we arrived at the offices in Midland, a very modern building. It was easy parking. It was clearly signpost, easy to find. Like I said earlier, with my mother-in-law's mobility issues, we felt this was a better option. It really was. Could get in and out of the car quite easily. Went inside the building, very modern building, very new. This was about 10:30 in the morning, and there was only 2 other gentlemen in the waiting room. So we got seen pretty well, and there was 2 counter staff. So I was really happy to see all that. So my wife took my mother-in-law to one, and there were some gentlemen ahead of me in the other queue, and I sat and I couldn't help but overhearing, and this gentleman was there doing the same sort of work that my mother-in-law was doing. He was trying to clear his wife's deceased estate, get her name off the titles, and start to prepare stuff for himself, which I thought was very foresight. He didn't want anybody to go through all those hassles for him, so he was sorting that out. And he was with a carer, another older gentleman, probably a friend of his. And he had a file. He thought he was probably prepared, and he went up to the counter, and the staff were very courteous, very polite, but basically all the documents he had with him, none of them were the ones he needed. And they recommended that he do get an estate planner to sort all this out, because it'd be quite complex. But he said he was a pensioner, he couldn't afford a lawyer, and he thought he could save some money by doing this all himself. Now, you can do it all yourself. And again, the counter staff is very courteous, and then they give him as much information as they could and say, these are the steps, these are the documents you need. And you can go on their website, and they actually have a couple YouTube videos as well. But you know, for our elders, accessing the internet and websites, and I find them daunting myself trying to navigate around sites. So that wasn't a great option. And I don't even know if he was aware of what a lawyer would cost. It was only a few $100s, and I had all my documents drafted up correctly. So there was no problem when it came my turn. So the gentleman and his friend, they weren't angry, and they weren't even frustrated, I think, but he looked a bit worried, and my heart really went out for him that he was going through this at his advanced age. And it's a key point. Don't put this off. Go get this sorted now. It's not going to get any easier. It's not going to be easier for like that gentleman trying to navigate the system when you're in your advanced years, and it's not going to get any cheaper. And particularly if you're still working or you have resources, you know, bite the bullet and pay for that now, because once you get on a fixed income and a pension, it's going to be much harder to do all these things, because there is a lodgement fee of $171 even when you get everything else in order. So there will be some government fees and things. I'll talk about that more in a minute. My mother-in-law had more luck with her appointment. She got most of the transfers and things done, because they did call ahead and they tried to get as much information as possible. And so a lot of hers was doing, but to organize her own stuff and lodge her enduring power of attorney with Landgate, she didn't have her original document with her. And so we'll have to go back and have a look for that. And she may have a second copy. She wasn't quite sure. So we'll look at that and get that sorted, and then we'll make another trip back. Looking at it now, I may just lodge that for her. The other part of the distance traveling back and forth is time availability, my availability to drive her back and forth, and to link that up. So, you know, we may lodge it a different way with her. We'll see what she wants to do. That's totally up to her. She also may want to do the trip up there. So it's an opportunity for coffee and cake as well. Okay, I was next. Went to the counter, and I told the person I was doing some YouTube video around this, so I might have a few extra questions. He was very helpful. Again, there was no pressure. There was nobody else in the room, so he spent a lot of time with me. He's very knowledgeable. I really wish I could have videoed all that, but being a government department, and there's a lot of approval and things to do. But out of that, he explained the whole process, and I asked him what the common faults were, and he says the number one was people didn't have the original documents with them. They all brought certified copies or photocopies, and he just couldn't use that, and that causes frustration with people. And the second thing was people who was using online homemade enduring power of attorneys type things. They're perfectly valid to fill up, but it's such a extremely powerful document. You really want to get that right, because people could have the right to sell your stuff. So you really want to get it right. And what people do is first thing he did is he went through my document to make sure that the clauses I had were the correct ones and were relevant for me. The problem with these online documents, or these templates, is they're a general document, so they have a lot of different clauses in there, and it's your job to cross out whichever is not applicable. Do you really know which one's not applicable? Do you understand the language? That's where the risk, but then people cross out the wrong things, and they go to him, and he'll look through that and check and go, well, is this what you meant? This is what you meant? Just to make sure the document's accurate, and a lot of times it's not. So again, people have to go away and correct that and come back again. Again, being prepared. It's only a few $100s. I really get it done yourself. If you are savvy enough to do that, or if you got all the time to keep going back and forth and getting it right, you can absolutely do that. So let's just have a quick look at the document itself. Okay, we're just going to have a quick look at our documents. Okay, we'll just have a quick look at a document here. This is just a draft, but this is my enduring power of attorney. as we covered before, and then the acceptance of my attorneys, and then my estate planner provided me with the cover sheet, which you can also download online. And then here's a completed cover sheet. And what we have here is the person who lodged it, which was myself. It could be lodged by somebody else, but have their details there. There's a code here, and basically that says that I presented in person at the Midland office. And then the preparing parties, Cariad Legal, and their details. And then there was a sticker. This is the tracking sticker. It's got the barcode and our tracking number and the date and the time, and then where it was lodged at. Now this number here, the tracking number, I received a duplicate sticker on the back of my receipt, and there's the copy of the receipt. It was $171.20, and it was paid at Landgate, and it was GST and things like that. And this tracking number is very important because the filing of the enduring power of attorney is not linked to a property. It's linked to the individual, and so this is the only way they're going to find it, because normally when they trace things, they trace everything through the address of the property, but in this case, this document is tracked by this. It's very important that you keep this tracking number, and like I said, that you get a duplicate sticker which is placed on the back of your receipt. So a very important number, and that was about it. The next step was to pay my lodging fee. It was $171.20. So you got to make sure that you have those funds with you. Have either the cash or you have your ATM credit card with you. So that's another thing to be prepared, because some people show up there and they didn't realize it was going to cost so much, or they don't have the money on them. And again, that means another trip. Key takeaway points for this video is that if you're going to file your enduring power of attorney with Landgate, that you need to do it within the first 3 months. You can do it afterwards, but then you're going to have to get stat decks saying that everything is still valid. It's much simpler if you do it in the first 3 months. Key takeaway points for this video is to have your enduring power of attorney done professionally, to ensure you bring original document to your meeting, to ensure you have the lodgement fee available, and most of all, don't put this off. If you're going to do this as soon as you can, so you can put all these legal works behind you and get on enjoying your retirement. I hope you found that helpful and can be a useful tool in your estate planning. And if you did, give me a thumbs up. If you're new to this channel, I encourage you to be a subscriber. You can, there's a watermark on the bottom of this video. You can just hover over that. It's got subscribe. You press subscribe. If you want to know as soon as I release a new video, you hit the bell, notification bell there, and then you will be notified as soon as I release a new video. But most importantly, share this with everyone you know over 50. Forward this on to anyone that you would like to see to have a better and more fulfilling retirement. You can follow me through Facebook at Your Journey Transitions, or my webpage, yourjourneytransitions.com. I encourage you to check out my next series, 7 Steps to 40 again. And until then, this is Rick Ward, your guide through the retirement stages, wishing you an extraordinary retirement.
This is like a cocoon.
What comes out of a cocoon?
Butterflies.
Are butterflies beautiful?
Yeah.